I'm Lisa Saunders. Welcome to my show. I'm really excited today because I have 3 fellow writers on here with me, and they all write memoir pieces, which is exactly what I like to write. So I can't wait to hear about what they're going to do. And what's really fun about these women is that they're all admitting that they're over 60 because this book is called What We Talk About When We're Over 60. So why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself quickly, what you did for the book.
Okay, I'm going to start because I'm the editor.
Yikes.
And this whole project started because my college roommate called me, and she had put together a book of 30 women from Atlanta and promoted it.
She did, so it was already published.
Hers was already done.
Okay.
So she called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing one for women in Connecticut. Well, you know, Connecticut is very difficult because you've got Fairfield County, you've got Pomfret, you've got little teeny towns, you got Hartford. I mean,
so what makes that difficult?
It's because there are too many different kinds of cultures in the Connecticut.
Actually, I did find that true when I moved here 4 years ago, that there's definitely different types of Connecticut.
There's a big difference between Westport and Fairfield.
Even though it's just a tiny state.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, go ahead.
And I wasn't, I wasn't committed. I didn't think that was a pull or a hook. I didn't think it was interesting. But I've always, not always, but lately, been interested in what's happening to women as we age. Mm-hmm. We're becoming invisible, just like Gloria Steinem told us we would. And yet we are still trying. We're much younger, acting and thinking and looking than we've ever been. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'll do this book with you, Linda, if we can just do women over 60. Mm-hmm. So she collected about 30 women, or 15, and I collected about 15.
But how did you get these women? Did you put out an ad, I
No.
need women over 60? Just tell me how you even found them.
I can't tell you exactly how Linda found all of hers, but I think the same way. Your friends, friends of friends, sometimes relatives. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's quite a collection of women in this book,
yes,
let me tell you.
It was a wide variety of women coming from different backgrounds, so I was kind of curious.
Nothing about aging. The only one that even comes close to talking about aging is Norma, when she had a facelift, and then after she got it all done, realized that it didn't match the rest of her body.
Oh my gosh, I got to read that one.
Very funny.
So far, I've only read your 3, and I love them so much that I can't
you.
wait to read them more. And it's just great because you're getting a little life story in little snippets, so you can.
Yeah, I asked Suzanne and hers is called Pushing the Envelope, because I think Suzanne pushed the envelope before we even defined envelope. A bit of a hippie when she was younger, and then had a child out of wedlock before that was even. Before nobody you would
Nobody
actually
was
have.
doing it.
Yeah, nobody did that.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and just say your story.
Sure. First, I'd like to introduce my friend Sherry Daly.
Oh, I forgot my name. Yeah, that would be me.
I'm Suzanne Golub, and my story was about choosing to become a single mother without being married, and what it was like in the 1970s, and wasn't fashionable, wasn't popular like it is now. You pick up any mass media publication now, and there's another celebrity that's having a child that's not married. Back then, it wasn't a choice. It wasn't an option. And it was very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. So it was an opportunity for me to really look back and, kind of examine, what society was like and how I was treated and how my son was treated.
Well, and your son was biracial, so that
Yes,
made it
still is.
more difficult. And that made it more difficult. Like I could really relate to your, people staring at your son
Yes.
in the comments, because I had a handicapped daughter.
Yes.
And people stared at her for the 16 years she was alive. So but she at least didn't know people were staring at her. Your son, did he know?
I
hear the
think
comments, or?
I don't think that it really bothered him until he was older. As a child, he really didn't realize that anything was different because, I didn't treat him different,
Right.
and he was my child. So I think over time people sort of got used to, seeing him as the person that he was and not looking at the skin color.
Right.
And I think it wasn't until he was, older in school that he really started to feel that, there were some differences.
Like now that's normal.
Now it's
everybody's-
normal, and now they're saying that in 50 years there's no longer going to be any white people because you know,
right.
it's become.
Your statistics were very interesting. I just found that interesting to find out where the population's going.
Yeah.
To know when you were feeling friendless, you did have your sister-in-law, I guess you would call her sister-in-law. You weren't married,
Right,
but
right. My sister out of law.
sister out
Yes,
of law.
sister. Yes.
I like that.
How she accepted you, and you
Yes.
both had your own issues. But I just, you know, when you feel alone and you have to be on social services. 'cause it
Right.
was
Yeah,
those-
that's the other
It's
thing. I wanted to make sure
those
it was
tough
a struggle for
years.
her financially,
Yes,
as
it
well
was-
as emotionally
it
and
was a
socially.
struggle
But
in
you
every
hadn't
way.
finished
Yes.
college.
It was a struggle in every way, and having some kind of a support system was the most important thing, and that's really what got me through, was really building that network of support
Right.
so I could feel that I had the strength to deal with not being accepted by society. And over time, I mean, it changed tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
You know,
how old is Jason?
38?
38. My son's 33. And I did the same thing she did.
Oh.
Yeah.
I deliberately had a child out of wedlock.
Yes, I paved the way for her.
Yep. Thank you so much.
That was so nice of you. Now your story. We'll get to your story next, but I want to talk to you, Ingrid. Tell us
In English, please, not German.
Yes, in English. I caught you doing that to our poor film person Suzanne, but she got you back as she knew how to speak German.
I caught that.
So just tell us your story a little bit, your name, your story.
My name is Ingrid Bloom, and my story is not quite as extravagant as yours. But, it's something that a lot of people deal with. In fact, after we have had one of our readings, 2 people came to me and said, "Oh boy, I can so relate to this." And it is about proving mother wrong.
Right. I saw that your mother just didn't think
Yeah.
you had it in you because you didn't have an education. Now you grew up in
Exactly.
World War II. How old were you?
After.
Oh, after. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
you were all right. I can't remember why you didn't get a good education when you were there. What
Well,
happened?
after World War II, everything was nuts in Germany. You know, nothing was where
Like
it
you'd
should
make-
be.
right.
And what happened was people would come out of the war, and they would take anybody who comes around to be teachers because there weren't any. So many people were killed that we ended up with. They had never heard of a lesson plan or any of that. So my education was not great. And so
You made it sound like you didn't even really have textbooks, and
we didn't.
you know. And
right.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't
And
imagine.
most of the teachers would talk about how horrible the war was and their life during the war. Some came from the front, so they really had other topics here. But
How old were you when you and your mother left Dresden?
I was 5. We went on the last train out of Dresden before Dresden was totally destroyed. In fact, my father stayed and had a horrific time there. He was there during the bombing, and the stories he told later on, I don't want to relate to anybody because they're just horrible.
Right.
But we got out, and I grew up in the west of Germany, which was very lucky because, as you know, your history lesson, Germany was divided with a wall, and we were on the right side of the wall, thank God. And so I grew up there, and then slowly I started my school even in a little schoolhouse where there were 8, but because we had flown to a little village where there were very few houses and so on, so we had a little schoolhouse with 8 benches. Every grade had its bench.
Just like in the
Oh,
picture
bench.
books, like in the picture books, right?
Yes, and we actually wrote on these slate things. Nobody had paper and so on. And that's where I grew up, and so I never thought I got a great education. However, coming back to my darling mother, who wasn't really that bad, you know, she wanted everything right for her kid, like all mothers do. But she never had a psychology lesson, which could have been an
Might have helped a
improvement.
little bit.
But she would tell me that I was dumb. My brother was the gifted child, and I had problems. And I got more and more problems as I was told I had problems. And one time I had a real answer in class, and the teacher told me, oh, look, a blind hen can also find a corn sometime.
Now, why did the teachers say that about you?
Because they didn't know any better. There was just a terrible
trained.
time.
And I love
they were
how,
not
just to fast forward, you ended up winning Best Teacher in Connecticut of German, right?
Yes.
That was really great. It was just a great story of...
Well, you know what happened was, I tried to get out of the situation, and I did. I moved like 4,000 miles away to be without my mother, I guess. and from then on, I was really interested in learning. And I mean, I've been overdoing it. I have like 3 masters. And,
I was getting tired reading about all your degrees. I thought, how on
and I
earth
just
do you
got
do
another
that?
one. I just got another one from a community college in persistence and excellence in fine art. So you can see
She
where
got an
it came
award,
from.
yeah.
Oh, now, I
got a
love
degree in
reading
persistence.
about
Yeah.
how you make murals for a lot of people so that they're in their bedroom and they see a scene overlooking something. And I think that's wonderful. Do you do that can people hire you to do that?
Yeah, I love art. I love art, and I get very excited when I see a big wall. So I have done quite a few of those, and even for family or so. In fact, my whole house has murals everywhere.
That's great. So when you're
And-
eating in the dining room, what do you see?
In my dining room, in my former dining room, I had a whole mural of Monet. Monet's gardens.
Right, you didn't want to put people in it because you didn't want guests for dinner, right?
Right,
Something like
right,
that.
right,
you said.
right,
Didn't want any
That was
neighbors.
So, that was so funny, yeah.
Right.
So it's just the garden. You don't have to
Yeah,
look at anybody.
Yeah, yeah. And I try, so I've really loved art, and I still take lots of arts lessons, and I paint, and am having a very happy life now, because I've sort of found myself after all, and I figured out I wasn't dumb.
Right.
Wow.
Because you're away from those words and just determined, you know. And I just, like I said, when you end up winning these awards, I was like, wow, yes, what a great story. Now you, Sherry, I was on pins and needles. You went to visit your ex-boyfriends, and you didn't just visit one.
No, I went on a tour.
You went on a tour.
I thought I'd be like a rock band,
I was shocked. I was so excited and nervous as you were flying to California. I was nervous
I
how
did.
each one, and the one that I thought you were going to really hit it off with just didn't feel right.
I know.
I don't want to give it away because people are going to read your stories and either see themselves or be shocked or be glad that they didn't have to go through that, Because whenever if I'm going through something really difficult, like when my daughter was very ill and I'd be very stressed, sometimes it helped to read other people's stories,
Yes.
as long as they weren't my story.
Yes.
I would read about people in concentration camp. I would read about people getting a divorce. I would read about people who had problems other than mine so that I could think about them, worry about them.
Those stories are inspiring in some
Yes,
way.
they are, because if somebody else survived that, then we
Then
can
I can-
survive what we're going through.
Exactly.
We can find a way to be happy again.
And I think that we are too quick to abandon old boyfriends, old girlfriends, whatever. Sometimes time and distance gets in the way, but there's no reason why we can't go reconnect.
But I was shocked that the wives didn't mind.
They were great.
That the wives of these men
They were
didn't.
great. The old boyfriend from high school, the one that I was supposed to marry, the wife did not join us to get together.
Right.
She didn't come. And you read the story, so you know
Yes.
that was
kind of painful.
that was the worst.
And I think about that one's the one that stuck with me. I feel in pain about that
I
one.
spoke to another reader who said one of the one scene that he remembers. I'm with Haim, the old boyfriend that I still had a little feelings for, screenwriter, big, handsome Haim. And we're all getting in the car to go someplace. Him, his wife, and his 3 kids, okay? And the girl is like a teenager girl. And there was some trash in the back seat of the car, and Haim said something about, why is there trash here? And I, out of nowhere, clean it up. So eager to help and so eager to please him. And that daughter just looked at me and made that one she got it. And there was that minute of, I understand, was really
Well, I like
interesting
how you
to
just
see.
make the point, that, like you said, we don't have to throw them all out. All these people make who we are,
Exactly.
for good or bad. I mean, even if it was a horrible experience, we probably got something good or learned something good out of the relationship or the friendship. So
I'd like to think that if we loved somebody once, then all of the love doesn't go away. I'd like to think that. Maybe I'm just a hopeless romantic, but you know, if we cared for somebody this much, certainly has to be something left. You know, they have to really stomp all over you to make it all go away. But so in each of the stories,
and they seem like major loves, all of them. This
oh
wasn't
yeah,
just
that's why I chose them.
random. And have they all read this, by the way? Do they know about your book?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. I did the one you thought I would catch up with, the one that I had a crush on when I was a little girl at summer camp, George. I found him on Facebook. And incidentally, his wife's name is Sherry.
Oh, really?
And I emailed him in a private message. I mean, I Facebooked him or whatever
Right.
they call that in a private message and told him about the book, but I haven't gotten any message back.
Well, maybe he doesn't know about it. Does he know you can get it on Amazon?
Maybe I should send him another note.
Okay.
Yeah, it's available on
And
Amazon.
tell me about the book cover. I love the book cover. I showed it to a bunch of people. I took it to a class I was teaching.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, because I love the cover so much.
Well, I'll tell you that I write for a regional magazine, which you know a lot of your viewers probably read, Coastal Connecticut. It's a really pretty magazine, and it focuses only on your little, you know, Madison and Essex
Shoreline.
and Mystic and the shoreline, yeah. And they were going to put a couple of these stories in their magazine, and they didn't have any artwork because we didn't have a cover yet. They chose this. It's a stock photo. I love
Your
it.
magazine chose
The
it.
magazine chose it. So the other editor, Linda, and I said yes, we loved it. So I showed this to one of my writers, Marge, and I said, Marge, don't you love it? We just got the book. It just come out. I said, look, don't you love it? She goes, ew, no. I said, why? And you remember?
They're so old. Those women are old. We don't look like that.
Yes, we do.
This reminded me of Calendar Girls. Did you see
Yes.
that movie?
Yes,
Calendar
that
Girls?
was a
I just
fun
Absolutely.
love that
movie.
movie. That
Yeah.
was so
yeah.
funny. And I love that you all tell your age in it. I thought, oh, this is fun, because usually I'm always curious, because I'm a writer too, I'm
Yeah.
always curious how old people are when I meet them, because then it helps me know what presidents they know, what music they listen to. And so I used to just ask, oh, how old are you? And now I'm starting to get people staring at me. And I won't tell people how much I weigh. So I'll tell people how old I am. I don't mind being 53. And I just assume nobody else would mind their age, because you can't help their age. It didn't have anything to do with eating too
You'd
many
be surprised how
cupcakes.
many people. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, part of the reason I think for doing this book and getting the stories of all the women in their 60s is to really show that people feel good about their age, and 60 is not something to be afraid of, and 60 is 40 now.
It's the new 20.
It
right?
really is, and women
It's not.
well, but women in their 60s now are really active, involved, contributing members of society.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I remember my grandmother died when she was in her 60s, and I remember her as a very old lady. Back then,
Yeah,
60
yeah.
was really old. 60 isn't old anymore.
Which one of you says
What
on
about 70?
No, it's not old either.
not.
That's right.
It's not.
Which one of you says you can still get in your wedding dress? I can't remember.
That's Ingrid.
I had to laugh. That's so funny. Gosh, I'd be afraid to even try mine on. You all look great.
Luckily, we like her. Otherwise, we'd all get together and smother her with a pillow.
So, did you read each other's work in the book? I would
Absolutely.
assume
Of course.
so.
Absolutely.
I mean, I had to read
Yes.
them all. I had to read them all.
And, yeah, well, you did a great job editing.
I didn't have to do a lot of editing. I have to say that when I went to my friends and said, would you write for this book, some of them said, I'm not a writer, especially you. In fact, what you said just yesterday when we were taking a walk about, oh my God, you were so intimidated, not enough words, and then?
Well, I really thought of, I don't need that work on top of everything else. But for Sherry.
Because it seemed like you were pretty honest in it? Like, I think there's one point you said you didn't want to tell your mother what you were doing in Israel because you didn't want her to worry. I mean, so you were sowing some wild oats. So some of you probably didn't tell all, but you told a lot. You know, I felt like I got to know each of you, and I just think that makes a powerful
that makes
writing
better writing.
piece.
Yes.
Yeah, when you get to really visualize the person and get into their skin, and that's how I felt I got to know the three of you.
And there's you remember when, well, maybe you don't, maybe you're too young, when Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin?
No.
She's in here.
Okay. Wow.
We got a
Can't
90,
wait.
how old is
Gilda.
Gilda is
just 98.
98.
Yep.
She came to one of our book signings in Westport. Gilda is a hoot.
Yep.
And she's the one that, if you read the little bios in here, she's the one who likes to wear silly hats.
Okay.
So whenever they have a big family reunion, they always dress her up in some stupid hat. I don't know. Gilda's patience.
Now, who goes on these little book tours that you do? Are you three or you just shake it up a little bit, or
Shake it up.
There's about 5 or 6 of us.
that don't mind being in front of the camera, or
Right.
in front of an audience? Because I'm sure not everybody likes to be in front of an audience.
Right.
So they're just as happy for you guys to go.
Yeah, we've got, Leslie often goes. She's the first one here. Men are like handbags.
I didn't read hers because she didn't come today.
Right. She did not
Read
come.
them all.
She was supposed to come, but she bowed out.
Yeah, it's okay, because I thought it'd be a little tough to have that many on the
That
set.
many, it's a lot.
So it really kind of worked fine. But
We do readings at local bookstores, and that's turned out to be a lot of fun.
But it's also wonderful to have met more women who are in the same boat.
Absolutely.
And by the way, some of those stories are quite not only a hoot, they're very.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Very
We have a
interesting.
black stripper from Detroit.
oh, I see. I can't wait. I didn't read that.
There are
And
some
she's in her
really-
80s now. She's
Lottie the Body.
Lottie the Body. She's in her 80s, right?
Yeah,
What else?
yeah.
Oh, and then we have
the sex
sex
article.
sex
Oh, the
chapter.
cougar,
Sex chapter,
Oh,
a
then-
woman in her 70s.
I saw the cougar. I didn't know until recently what a cougar was. I said, "What's a cougar?" And people laughed at me. I didn't know that's an older woman going after younger men.
Which
right?
obviously
Yes.
you're not one then if no one's called you a cougar.
Well, I'm married.
Oh yeah, then they shouldn't.
I would hope they wouldn't.
You
call
better
me.
not.
I just heard the term used for somebody else, and I just thought that was an interesting term. Well, what's a guy? What's an older man called? A lech? I don't know what. I mean, I don't.
Cougars.
Normal.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cougar is kind of a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's a psychic. There's a farmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A farmer or what?
Farmer.
She and her husband
Woman
bought a
is
farm.
farmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And a woman who went to Spain and fell in love, and
It's a really interesting mix of different women from all walks of life.
yeah. Linda runs her little talk shows and book signings down in Atlanta and that area. So
So that's where she lives.
yeah, she
Now,
lives in Atlanta.
Is everybody in here in Connecticut? Connecticut writer?
In here in this book.
In your book?
No.
Oh,
There's
Half.
No.
Half.
Half.
No, but
okay.
some of my Norma lives in Oklahoma, so she's not a Connecticut writer. But
No, I know. Half of the women are from down south or the parts of the country. Half are from this area.
Okay,
yeah,
from the northeast.
Yeah,
So it's
pretty
kind of
much.
okay. So it's kind of all over.
it is. It is
But,
all over.
There must be some concentration of people.
There's
obviously, 'cause
a
you're-
good sized group of us that are in Connecticut.
Oh yeah.
Now you're still teaching school.
I'm still
right?
teaching school.
And this is the reason you're off today is because
Yes, I'm off. So here I am.
So that worked. What do you teach?
I teach. I'm supposed to teach English, but I say mostly I teach manners, social skills.
Do you? What grade?
7th grade, and she was a German teacher.
Okay.
For 31 years.
31 years. That must have
And-
been great to be able to teach people. You
Oh yeah,
said how
it's exciting.
it was exciting to teach people your language and customs, and they were getting it from the source.
And what was nice is nobody could tell me what to teach. So I taught art, I taught opera, anything that I was interested in. And anything that a teacher has a passion for, the kids will join you. I mean,
Right,
they will absolutely be with you, yeah.
Now, did you try to have a unifying theme? I didn't really sense a unifying theme, but I didn't sense disjointed. I just felt like people were telling me something
That was important to
was-
them.
Right, that was important to them that they had gone through.
Right.
Like that's why yours was kind of as a surprise that you're going to go visit boyfriends. They talk about these difficult situations they came through, and yours is just hunting down boyfriends.
That's
why I
cherry.
thought,
That's
okay,
cherry.
It's refreshing.
Yes, it was a nice mix.
It is a mix, and I mean, like I said, there's everything in there from facelifts to boyfriends
stripping
to widowhood is in here to stripper. I mean, if you can't find a girl that you can or woman that you can identify with
That you
here,
can
I don't know.
relate to.
I don't know who you are.
Right. And there's stories that really anybody can relate to. But like Sherry said before, it's not about getting old. It's not about aging.
I was just telling people,
It's
you're
about
just telling
life
stories.
experiences.
And this
Yep.
way, because you're all over 60, you can like have this cover work for you. I just loved it.
I do too.
I thought, oh gee.
And if
It's a
anybody's
great
interested,
Christmas present.
Oh, it
For
is
the-
a great Christmas present. This is
Yep.
what people should give everybody for Christmas, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're all going to be over 60 if we
And
behave
Hanukkah,
ourselves.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you're Jewish, right? I would
Hanukkah.
celebrate Hanukkah.
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
So,
Yep.
you know, you give
for
presents.
any holiday.
So,
Yeah.
Yep. You can get it on Amazon.
And for your local viewers, Bank Square Books and Mystic has copies.
now you just had a signing there.
We just
right?
had a signing
so how
there.
was that?
You know, it was really wonderful. We had a small group. We were sold out at RJ Julia, standing room only, and we were pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
Right,
that was
yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah, and we were nervous because that was our first reading, and we go straight from 0 to 60. You know, from doing nothing to RJ Julia, and right the week after or 2 weeks after Hillary was there, and who's going to be at Bookhampton before us?
Well,
Somebody big.
Hillary was also just there.
She was just there,
Well,
but
we
they got
only
another.
have about a minute or two left. Is there anything that you wished I had asked you?
Oh, yeah. You know, ask me and ask them, where do we think older women are going to go in the next 10 years? Is it going to be different for us? Is it going to get better? Are we going to be more visible? Are we going to have our marketing and advertisers going to finally realize we're still awake and we still have a wallet?
Well, I would assume so. It's baby boomer figures, you know. We're all in that range.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
because the population
So-
is exploding.
And
It's
it was
exploding.
just in the New York Times about the advertisement.
Yes, there was
for
just
older women.
a big article about how
Yesterday, yeah.
in the New York Times and also in AARP, but of course, you know, that's the biggest readership in every single publication. The biggest readership is AARP. And they had an article about how the advertisers are missing the boat. They just, we,
Right, because, you know, a lot of us are still working.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there are
yeah.
people in my stores that I see on their feet all day long, and they look to me like 80s and 90s even. You know, I'm just,
Yeah.
everybody's working.
Yeah.
We're living longer.
Right.
We're more active.
And according
Yeah.
to Gray Advertising, women over 50 make over 90% of
Huge
household
consumers.
major household purchasing decisions. So even if we're not the one who actually pays for it, we're the ones who are making the decisions.
Yeah.
So they
And-
got to wake up.
And being retired, you have more time for
Yeah.
shopping.
Absolutely.
Less money, but maybe not, right? If you
So what do you think? Do you think that women over 50, 60, 70 are going to become a powerful part of the population?
I don't know, because time is up. So, so thank you
Saved.
so much for joining us on the Lisa Saunders Show. We look forward to seeing you next week.